YKF31 here, Madden 19. This is Understanding Cover 4 Quarters and Palms 2.0 post-patch. This is going to be a review and a updated look at match coverage out of Cover 4 this video from, well, building off of my original Understanding Match Quarters and Palms video that I did a couple of days after the game released. Now, what is cover 4 quarters? Cover 4 quarters is match quarters. Match quarters is a pattern matching zone concept where you have man coverage built around a zone concept. This is not spot drop, cover 4 drop. The first thing I want you guys to do if you're new to this is to get that out of your head. This is match coverage. This is not spot drop coverage. You can still play your spot drop coverage if you want to, and there's a time and place for spot drop. I'll show you how to do it in a minute. But when I say match quarters or match coverage, what do I mean? What that means, in the simplest terms, is that defenders will match vertical threats. In match quarters, the safeties here, they are relating to the release of the number 2 receiver on their side. In this case, it is on your left side, Jermaine Kearse, and on your right side, Mr. Sterling. On the outside, it's really pretty simple. Nothing much changes. The corners have their deep quarter assignments. They'll match vertical routes on their side. The difference is that how they will relate to the number 2 receiver depends on what their threat does. If their threats, in this case, Robbie Anderson on your left, Quincy Nuno on your right, either go under or short, let's say Anderson and Nuno are on quick hitches, they will relate to number 2 and match any vertical release because the quarter flats are going to cut those underneath routes. And if they run underneath, you have the 3 receiver hook there to cut those underneath routes as well. Now there is a leverage issue with the quarter flats, which I'll go into and I'll show you guys as well, and also show you how to work around that and still keep your match rules in the back end. But for now, just the general assignments are your, again, deep safeties are relating to number 2 receivers. Corners are on their outside quarter zones, depending on how the number 1 threats release. The quarter flats, their job is twofold. They will bracket number 2 vertical to obstruct a clean release down the seam before working back to any flat threats. If there are no vertical threats, they will play flat. And a 3 receiver hook matches any number 3 receiver coming across the field and works back to shallow. Versus the run, you have, well, in this formation here, you have, I'm in your basic nickel formation, you have 6 in the box here, and both safeties are in run fits. What this allows you to do, it really allows you to have 9 guys in the box for your run fit and still play a 2 deep or 2 high shell coverage. You can roll into the box like so in your base 4-3 or 3-4 sets. You can really crowd that box and still have the ability to match vertical routes. Now, this is an important thing to have in a spread world where teams are spreading the ball out at the NFL level more than they ever have before. It looks more like the college game now than it ever has before. So this allows you, out of a 2 high shell, to even the numbers against the running game or give you a +1 depending on what type of formations you're going up against, and still be able to play pattern match coverage across the field as opposed to just sitting in cover 2, being outnumbered by inside zone read, and hoping that you have monsters on your defensive line who can even the odds in your favor by winning their matchups. So again, here are the run fits. Now to take a look at how our routes are distributed, we'll start out with something relatively simple. We'll go doubles offset. We'll go X dagger. This is a common 2 high cover 2 beater. It can also be a single high beater to your right side with that deep comeback to your right side. So what you'll be seeing is that you'll be seeing the safeties are relating to number two first, and what the number two receiver does will dictate what they do. Now, what's not in the game, one of the two missing links is if number two on the safety side does not go vertical, he's free to bracket number one vertical here to your right hand side. What's interesting there is you saw him take a hesitation step like he wanted to, but he just doesn't trigger there. Let's take a look at the route distribution here. Three receiver hook is going to open up to the strong side. This is the three receiver side, back, tight end, wide receiver. This is your dagger concept here being run. Now, vertical is anything 10 yards and over. Anything 10 yards or over is considered a vertical threat. So anything stretching the corner or the safety to that depth, they're going to match. What I don't like here is how the receiver just willingly allows himself to be pushed to the outside. I like to see more of a dynamic, fight there. But you see here the quarter flat is going to redirect. He's man-to-man. Anything 10 yards to his side on his side. The safety here, man-to-man on his vertical threat. Number two gets rerouted, but he's still his once he clears. Still matches him vertical. Quarter flat carries him to a depth of around 5 to 8. Between 5 to 8 is the norm before breaking off. Sometimes they're a little bit slow, and I'll show you guys how that can be a problem in a moment. Three receiver hook there. Matches until he, crosses, finds new number three. Quarter flat here. Now remember how I was saying here, if this safety here does not have a vertical threat, he's free to bracket. Look how he wants to do it, but doesn't. He can either bracket this if he goes vertical, as opposed to staying home like that and just kind of drifting. And he's all alone on an island by himself. Now, here's what I'm talking about when we have issues with a quarter flats being out leveraged sometimes. Let's say I put Powell here on a wheel. That is prone to happen. This quarter flat here is slow to recognize that, okay, I have no vertical. Let me get to the flat now. He's still drifting back. The way you can accommodate that is to either hard flat or cloud flat it. You won't lose a match rules between the corners and the safeties in your three receiver hook. So you can hard flat it if you wish. Now, the only issue with the hard flat is, again, that safety on the side where there's only one outside vertical, he's just kind of drifting. Let's show that again. Gonna underneath for hard flat. If there's time to clear that, he's got to be able to, unless he breaks in the ball, he might just plop down there and just stay stationary, which is a scary proposition. Curl flats. Against guys who like to snap throw that, it's not going to be a very big gain. Or you can get a cloud flat out there by going underneath and then over the top. So that'll help protect you against stuff like that. Now let's put number 1 on your left on a smoke screen. Now again, match quarters rules. The corner on that side is going to let anything under or underneath of the inside go, and the quarter flat will account for that. That will allow him to bracket number 2 vertical with the safety there on that side. Again, the quarter flat has to jam, redirect. So a quick hitter, will get open as far as that's concerned. They now bracket number 2 here. And ignore the, wonky movement. That's an issue for another day. If he runs a shallow cross, same thing. Don't know why they're switching out like that. That's really weird. But anywho. And again, nothing will change if you hard flat or play over the top. The match rules will stay. On the back end, you see how they both match. That time they ran clean. They didn't, do that little twitchy stuff. Crazy. Now, if you want the spot drop, again, spot drop has its time and place. Personally, I want to match routes as much as humanly possible. I do not want to be in a world of drifting spot drop zones that will be manipulated for one-play touchdowns. I don't want to live in that world, and neither should you. But if you do want to play just a plain old spot drop in your coverage audibles, press triangle, sticks L1, that will have them spot drop. Then you can have stuff like this be done to you. Have fun with that. I don't want to live in that world. Sorry. Against double post, it's a Texas double post. Nothing will change as far as the detached to receiver side. Corner and safeties will take their vertical threats. Corner on the right, again, will release the underneath receiver and sink back to relate to number 2 vertical. Only thing I don't like about this one, because of the auto motion, he follows him a little bit too far. It's pretty clear that he's not been running vertical at this point. Then he breaks out to right to number 2 vertical. But again, on this side, now we have a bracket here. The safety has vertical on his side. You're not going to get that throw in there. Bracket here before he gets picked up by his vertical threat. And again, after he carries, looks back underneath. 3-receiver hook. Does his thing. I'm not in love with these quarter flats being inside as much. Again, I get it. It's a vertical release, but I like to see the awareness kick in of the fact that he should be aware that his teammate is going to be carrying his route and he should not be chasing inside quite that far. Because again, let's go back to our good friend, the wheel route out of the backfield.
Detroit!
That's what happens when that quarter flat is lollygagging and allows himself to get out leveraged. Again, you know, you can work around that by going underneath. He'll go right to the flat and cut it. Or if you don't want to just sell out completely toward it, you can go. Come on, I'm on the wrong controller. You can go over the top. Or you can cloud flat it by going underneath and over the top. However you want to take care of it. Or you can just use it a quarter flat yourself. Well, the one downside of going underneath and over the top is you give up the reroute by the slot. So it becomes a snap throw. So those are the kind of things you got to keep in mind until, you know, they clean up how that quarter flat is reacting to wheel routes out of the backfield. You know, not perfect, but again, you have tools at your disposal to take care of what you need to take care of depending on your opponent's tendencies. Quick game. Again, corners will release unders. Quick game, the safety can cut inside slants. Again, there's no vertical. You convert to robber and cut underneath. Nothing changes for the 3-receiver hook or the quarter flats. Take a look at it again. Corners, release unders. Quarter flat has a tendency to go underneath too much. That's too far. It's not a vertical route. Neither is this. I mean, can they bracket and, you know, kind of obstruct? Sure, but I think it's too far inside. Because you gotta watch out for crosser coming the other side. Safety's here. Rob's crosser. Safety here. Robs. The receiver hook. Where are you? Robs the third slant. Quarter flat gets out there. So again, my main two bones of contention with it right now is the safety as far as bracketing outside vertical on solo vertical, and the quarter flats can get out leveraged at times. But other than that, it's working pretty nicely. You're probably going to be asking yourself, well, does this work in the world of online head to head with 5 million hot routes? Yes, it does, and I'll show you clips of it working against 5 million hot routes. Be patient. It'll be in the same video, too. We'll go against switch concepts now.
Here we go now. 319.
Now, the beautiful thing about match coverage is that it sounds like a lot, but in reality, it streamlines your coverage techniques. As I said in part one, high school teams play this. High school teams base out of this. There are high school teams that play this every single down. So if a 17-year-old kid on your local varsity football team can play this, you know, anybody can. College teams base out of this. In the NFL, again, you're seeing it more and more. The Panthers play a ton of this. The Steelers play a ton of it. They play it rather poorly, but they play a lot of it. They play this and cover six most of the time. But anyhow, the Jags. The Jags play it, I think, too much, but I'll get to that in a moment when I do all 22 on the Jags defense. Gibson and Church, in my opinion, routinely get exposed. But again, I digress. So anyhow, on the two tight end side, number one vertical does not change. Rules underneath do not change. Now again, you see the flaw here with that safety there, just not finding work. That's the one thing. Now again, you see the flaw of the safety not relating to anything. This guy's accounted for. He can look back inside. Because again, this corner is playing man to man. He has to assume no help because he has no idea what's happening elsewhere. And you see with the wheel, you have that accounted for as well. And again, leverage issues here with these quarter flats. He can come down on this sooner. And again, same workaround for that until that is fixed. It's an issue that's in the works, but the same workaround. You can go hard flat over the top or cloud flat, to cut that crosser, that shallow cross.
Now let's go. Green.
If you're feeling brave, you're free to user this guy. User the safety to the weak receiver strength. And you can be that robber defender or that bracket defender. Whatever the situation calls for. And again, we're going to go underneath here to kind of give those shallow crossers something to run into. And you can do stuff like this. You can put a spy in there, a dropper in the hole. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I get why that happens because it's a delay route to that back there. But I just think that the quarter flat is just doing too much. Is trying to do too much. There's no reason for him to bracket this far to the outside. But I mean, I get it. It's a delay route, so he doesn't know that there's a guy coming out of the backfield. So it's just one of those things. I mean, which one do you want? Do you want psychic defenders coming back? I don't. Post dig. Now, the way you attack this in the real is a couple of ways. The two most common ways is since these safeties are primary run fit defenders, play action plays, those safeties, if they're on a run action or cheating run action too much, can find themselves in the world of hurt. And double move routes by these slot receivers. Like you get a speedy guy like Robbie Anderson against a safety like Marcus May. I mean, good luck. That's why the reroute is so important. Your bills concepts, your pin concepts, like what I have dialed up here, a square in and a post route. It can be from the same side or the opposite side. Yankee concept, post, deep crosser. The beaters don't change, but what match coverage does, it gives you the chance to close airspace as opposed to drifting drops. There we get our vertical bracket. That needs to happen more often.
Now let's go.
Underneath route, quarter flat takes it, gets beaten, but, you know, make someone show that they'll make that throw and then you adjust accordingly. Shallow cross is taking out the receiver hook. I don't know why, again, these quarter flats need work. I don't know why you're going outside. Why? Or inside, rather. Is this a delay route again? Nope, you can't be doing that. Can't be doing that. That's all his. No vertical. Now we have our bracket on the post route. Again, it's a delay route. Those delay routes, the quarter flat is just not gonna know it's coming. The only fix to that is the return of psychic defenders. But he should be able to just stay at home and say, okay, let's see what's coming across from me. He should not be chasing that across the field.
Now let's go. Green 39. Green 39.
So again, that fixes that. I mean, they'll close on this. You know, make a guy have to do a juke or spin move. Split close. HV wheel, appropriate enough. And here it's going to see where this breaks down a little bit. Now, the reason why this happens is that these guys against these compressed sets, they don't align properly. They're going to read the right routes, but the way they're aligned pre-snap gives them no chance of being able to stick with them. Just throw it away. And this is why compressed sets are so often the meta in competitive head-to-head Madden. Half the battle is lining up properly. But you're going to see what happens here. They match the right routes. It's just bad pre-snap alignment. And if you base a line, we all know how I hate base a line. This is what's so stupid about base a line. If you base a line, he actually leverages it better, which is crazy. Should be the exact opposite. He just misses the ball. Now, a couple of ways we can account for this. Again, they did a good job, but it's not perfect. Change three receiver hook. Oh, I'm on the wrong controller again. To a mid read. Or again, you can just run with it yourself. But you see, that will give you some help to account for that horrible alignment. Now, he's going to eventually run away from him. I mean, it's a linebacker against Robbie Anderson. But he's got a ways to go in order to do that. Another alternative to that is cover six. Now, some cover sixes in this game have a mid read. Some have a three receiver hook. I don't know why. I like the mid read better. It just makes more sense because cover six is half cover two, half match quarters. Match quarters are the strong side. Tampa 2, quote unquote, cover 2 to the weak. So why not just have the backer, one of the backers, play a mid read or a deep third? Whatever you don't want to do. To me, that just makes sense. Because you're going to have you're going to have the cloud flat there for anything, down the sideline. So why not? You can either mid read the three receiver hook or the vertical hook. And away you go.
Here we go now. Blue lining.
Now, again, he's going to be on his own out there if you do that. Because, again, anything 10 yards or over is considered vertical, so it's quarters rules on this side. So you got to have an athlete. You got to have your Brian Urkelacher, your Ryan Shazier, your Deion Jones, your Bobby Wagners. Let's go against some meta stuff. Play action crossers.
Now let's go. Blue lining. Blue lining. Gun, gun. Gun, gun.
You just got to have the horses to play the coverage. That's all it is.
All right, here we go.
And all this will be is it's just going to come down to man coverage matchups.
Here we go.
So this going to turn this into a coverage matchup as opposed to just having a wide open window. Now you got to be able to have the guys who can play the coverage. Otherwise, you're going to have guys hung out to dry. That's just the way football is. If you can't cover the guy, then you can't cover the guy.
Now let's go.
I mean, it's Maurice Claiborne for crying out loud. Maurice Claiborne for a reason. But you see here, this pesky over route that gives everyone so much trouble. Tight airspace there. Matched across the field here. And there you go. You just need a better corner here. That's all. If you're feeling like a walk on the wild side, press quarters.
Detroit! 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 Detroit!
We have a press coverage corner on that side as opposed to an off coverage corner.
Set!
Now, pre-snap, this could look like anything. This could be two-man under for all he knows. It could be Tampa 2 for all he knows. He doesn't know that. It's a too high look. It could be a blitz with this guy poised to crouch here. Now, isn't that much better than having just spot drops and those crossers having time to just go all the way across the field as guys drips? I think it is. And again, is it perfect? No, but it's almost there. It's almost right there. And we're getting gradually closer to these coverage and route matchups fully being respected. It's taken a little while, but we're getting there. Dagger.
Hurry up, here we go! Green 39! Green 39! Alright, here we go!
The coverage Nazi in me doesn't love how long the flat-footed read stays at sometimes. I mean, just go. Please, just sprint. And again, if you really want that drag to run into something, you can go underneath. Or over the top and all that good stuff.
Set! Blue 90!
Or throw a spy out there, or put one of your defensive ends into something to make it run into something. Either or. I'd prefer that route because again, I want to play match as much as I possibly can.
Here we go now! Blue 90!
Levels. Against trips, that solo side corner, it's going to be man locked. Again, man locked vertical. He actually gets on his horse for once. That's how the quarterflats need to respond. The reason why I think that's happening against trips is that the solo check is in the game, meaning he's man coverage, so the quarterflat knows he's got to get out there. Now against trips, cover 4 quarters checks to solo. What is solo? It's man lock on the solo side, hence the name. Nothing changes for the quarterflat on that side as far as anything coming out of the backfield. Safety on your left, he is looking to overlap number 3 vertical. That's a tight end in this case. Nothing changes for number 1 and the quarterflat and the safety on that side. Safety will still take any number 2 vertical. So the idea is to have a bracket on number 3. If we ran 4 verts, for example, this is how it would look. This check keeps your three receiver hook from being hung out to dry by giving him help in a bracket. That allows him to come back underneath. Number two, vertical, vertical. Why the quarter flat is going all the way across the field, I don't know. That's a head scratcher to me. I don't know why it happens. I mean, I get it's a delay route, but still, it's just irritating to see. The only thing I can think of is that he's looking for any under because he still has a bracket to carry. Now, again, like I said, that corner is man locked. So if I drag him, he follows. Again, Reese Claiborne's on an off coverage corner, but he can press. Let's say we go press quarters.
All right, now, lucky 56. Lucky.
There you go.
Now let's go.
So that's solo check for trips.
Blue 90.
Now let's go back to
Here we go now. Green 39.
You're probably saying, what about meta style hot routes? Well, if you know the rules, you can plan around it. But if you don't know the rules, you'll be confused and you're not going to be able to stop it anyway. I mean, let's say this guy gets shot out here, for example. Nothing changes. It's covered. What if they, do a bootleg switch concept here? Again, it's solo coverage. So that quarter flat, he knows that. He's going to match man to man.
Now let's go. 319. 319.
That's actually why I think that quarter flat's jumping inside in the back. Now, I actually really like palms against trips and against concepts like that in general, where you have underneath crossers like that that are shallow. Palms is a two-man game between the corner and the safety. It's really effective against bunch sets where offenses like to run a lot of pick and rub routes. Basically, what palms is that the corner and the safety will swap off. The safety will cut the first man in, the corner will cut first man breaking out. Only if number one breaks vertical. If number one cuts, the corner cuts with him, and everything stays the same. It sounds confusing. Just watch, I'll explain it, you'll see it, and then you'll see it how it works when the safety and the corner do swap and one cuts in, one cuts out. So against levels with a corner here, both the corner on your right and three receiver hook are going to cut inside, and the safety is going to bracket with the quarter flat on the outward breaking route versus trips. Let's go bunch. palms. We'll go. What should we go against? Let's go again. Why trail will have to do.
Here we go. Blue 90. Blue 90. Set.
Safety's got first guy in. No one's coming out. So he goes into a quarter zone. I like to see him just do something anyway. Three receiver hook there. You got a void here. Again, these quarter flats, again, they get out leveraged at times. They don't need to be out leveraged. There's no need for him to skate out that far. Just stay right here. Go against four verts. You know how guys like that route by X or to hit a Nunwa real quick. You can try that if you want. It's going to be closed on. Where palms is deadly is against outside in high-low combinations, like this flanker spot here to your left. Again, corner is going to take inside breaking out. Safety is going to take outside breaking in. So the sick corner is going to bait you into thinking that he's carrying a square in, but he's going to come off and cut that zig route.
All right, here we go. 319. 319.
Here he comes.
Set. 319.
Watch that again.
319. Now let's go.
Inside goes out, we cut. Outside goes in, he cuts. I really like palms against quick game for that reason. Against quick slant. See how both those safeties rob those slants? I'm still deciding whether I like palms better against bunch or quarters. I'm leaning towards quarters versus bunch.
Blue 90. Blue 90.
That's quarters against Z spot.
Green 39.
Palms against clear out.
Hurry up, here we go. 319.
Cuts under.
All right, here we go. Blue 90.
Number two is going straight up the seam, so it just plays as solo. Or special, I should say.
Now let's go. 319. 319.
Special is basically the solo version of palms.
Set.
It's empty. Let's go empty. I don't know, stick and nod. Just an FYI, in dollar and quarters formations, it's you just have straight cover four drop. You don't have a match quarters in any quarters or dollar set. which is weird, but whatever. By two empty again. This is for an attached two receiver side. Again, any two receiver side is going to be a two-man game between the corner and the safety.
All right, here we go.
He'll cut down to trap this, and he's got to be able to haul tail and cover him. And nothing changes on the trip side. Press quarters against empty. We'll go against, let's go double slot cross.
Blue 90. Blue 90.
And again, keep in mind the quality of the coverage, people. What's important is the rules being honored. Walled off here. Again, these quarter flats chase and go underneath too much. There's already a bracket here. Once that square in cuts underneath there, and again, this is a case where they're just chasing underneath too aggressively because that leaves this, crosser wide open. But again, like I showed you before, what you can do to mitigate that and not lose the match rules to the outside is either go underneath or over the top. Get your either curl flat, cloud flat, or hard flat in there. You still have your brackets, but at least you'll have crossers running into people. Like if you want to hard flat it, you can go underneath if you really want to take those away. And there you go.
All right, here we go. 319.
So much better after the patch. Not perfect. Still some cleanups to do. They said in the last patch notes that they still have some cleanups on the way to the curl flat and cloud flats coming. So at least it's to a point now where I feel comfy playing this a great deal and not fearing for my life or having to use the weak side safety. I can actually base out of this right now, which is a great feeling as far as being able to play a two high match quarter scheme. Absolutely, I can do it. Match quarters, cover 6, cover 9, and mix in the old school Tampa 2. Absolutely. I'll show you guys that stuff a little later, as well as cover 3 match as well. In another video, this has gone kind of long, and I'll show you some gameplay clips from online right now. Hope you guys enjoy. Talk to you all later. Peace.
Shorty, shorty, shorty. Run, run. Black, black, come on. Black, black, come on. 120. Gray 15, gray 15. Gray, gray.
first and 10. Here's Wentz. Escaping the pressure right. And he can't get rid of it. He's taken down. Now, here's first and 10 at the 45-yard line. Working from the gun, Wentz. Buying time to his left. Into heavy traffic, and it's intercepted. Picked off at the 45. 20. And he brings this one back. It's a pick six and a Jet touchdown.
Offense, they're thinking, let's get in the end zone this time.
I don't know if that helped him at contract time. You could have kicked that one through. They'll be taken down. The Jets get in there for the sack. Joey Bosa. Now a first down throw for Newton. And it's after back-to-back incompletions. Just beating the play clock is Newton. He'll be taken down. The Jets get in there.